everybody. Welcome to our special show in the air on CricTracker. I hope all of you are doing well and super excited for the clash that all of us have been waiting for since a year. It is finally time for the fifth and final rescheduled test match to be happening between England versus India. और अगर वो graphics देख के काफी interesting changes हुए since last year. On one hand, Ben Stokes becoming the red ball captain for England. दूसरी तरफ, we know that Bumrah is getting this great opportunity in terms of becoming India's stand-in captain. It's a very, very exciting fifth test match, and the fact that we saw so much of masala drama, some great runs, great matches last year. It's great to revisit everything. So I have Pratyay, who was there with me last year as well, to be discussing this entire test series. A couple of them were absolute stunners, and we actually have Umesh, who is our guest joining us in the studios today. First, let me come to you, Pratyay. Like I said, the test series last year, the 4 tests that we had, one was just getting better than the other, except the villain would still probably be the rain and the weather. We will talk about that as well. But just a little bit of a flashback, and then we'll dig deeper into this particular fifth and final. If you could recap that for us, and then we dive into what is there in store for us today.
Well, I think you spoke about the rain right there. I mean, you can never predict the England weather. And I think had it not been for that draw in Nottingham, the rain enforced draw, because I still feel even the last time when we were talking about this series, we've had to wait for it longer than you would ever wait for any series. I think this is the longest you've ever waited between 2 test matches of the same series. But the strange times that we live in, of course. But I still feel that draw, I mean, the Nottingham draw that India played because of the rain on the final day, had that match, I mean, because that was in their grasp, and had that been one of those games that they would have managed to clinch, they would have been leading the series 3-1 instead of 2-1 right now. But then it's past, and you cannot really do much about it. Frankly speaking, a lot has changed, and I mean, at that point in time, because we often talk about momentum in cricket, when you're leading the series 2-1 with that kind of form that the players were in, and the kind of forms that and inconsistencies that particularly England has showed, at that point of time, you would have certainly felt that India were the strong favorites. But at this moment, I think that it's pretty balanced, and I'm excited to see how Jasprit Bumrah goes about it, because this is again an uncharted territory for him, leading for the first time, victory at Lords, victory at Oval, the loss at Headingley, but all that is a thing of the past now. So I think what lies ahead is something very exciting, and I think that if India can manage to clinch this one under Bumrah, that will be another story to be told.
Right, and there's so many interesting, things that we have to take away from the 4 test match. But like Pratyay said, this is a clean slate, because I guess no matter what happened in those 4 test match for either of the teams, it bottom line, is today ki kya hoga wahan pe, with of course 2 new people at the helm of affairs. So काफी interesting bhi hoga. Now let me ask Umesh. Umesh, welcome back to the special show in the air. काफी बढ़िया लग रहा है कि आप join कर पाए. सबसे पहले मुझे ये बताइए, ये फिफ्थ टेस्ट मैच अभी जो इतना क्रूशियल हो चुका है टू गेट दिस सीरीज विन एज वेल फॉर बोथ टीम्स, मोर देन व्हिच टीम इज लुकिंग स्ट्रॉन्गर एज अ यूनिट, आपको क्या लग रहा है कॉम्बिनेशन के हिसाब से, व्हिच टीम डू यू थिंक हैज द अपर हैंड, नॉट गोइंग बाय द स्टैट्स, प्योरली ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द कॉम्बिनेशन?
हाँ, अगर एज ए यूनिट आप मेरे से पूछना चाहते हैं कि एज ए यूनिट कौन सी टीम मतलब अपर एंड है या फिर कौन सी टीम इस मैच में मजबूत नजर आ रही है, तो एक चीज है कि जो इंग्लैंड अभी पिछले जो जिस तरह से उन्होंने कमबैक किया है, पहली बात तो ये कि प्रत्यय ने भी बहुत सही बात कही कि पिछले 4 साल से बहुत चीजें बदल चुकी हैं। पिछला साल था नॉटिंघम टेस्ट और एजबेस्टन टेस्ट तक आते आते हम लगभग 8-9 महीने गुजर गए इस चीज में। और सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज ये है कि इंग्लैंड रूट के टाइम में दोनों टीमें के साथ जो चीजें चेंज हुई हैं वो 180 डिग्री पे चेंज हुई हैं। दोनों टीमें नए कोच नए कैप्टन के साथ हैं, और इंग्लैंड जो है वर्ल्ड टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप को क्लीन स्वीप करके आई है अभी रिसेंटली, और उनके पास कॉन्फिडेंट टीम है, एक इनफॉर्म प्लेयर्स हैं, बेन स्टोक्स जैसे कैप्टन है, उसके अलावा जॉनी बेयरस्टो and their bowling unit are in the form, and none other than the legend James Anderson is there. और अगर इंडिया के पर्सपेक्टिव से बात करें आप, तो टीम में थोड़ा सा ना मेंटली अभी टीम थोड़ी सी डाउन है हमारी, ये मानना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि बीते गए 2-4 दिनों में एक डेढ़ हफ्ते में जो चीजें गुजरी है ना, अश्विन का कोविड पॉजिटिव आना, रोहित का पॉजिटिव आना, द मैनेजमेंट वाज गोइंग थ्रू द लॉट ऑफ कॉन्ड्रम्स, सो दैट्स व्हाई India would be on the lower side in comparison to when you are going to the mind games ना, like जैसे कि कल इंग्लैंड ने प्लेइंग 11 अनाउंस किया, जो कि एक इंडिया पे एक अपने आप में एक माइंड गेम था उनका, कि उन्होंने एक दिन पहले प्लेइंग 11 अनाउंस कर दिया एंड इंडिया वाज स्टिल कंफ्यूज्ड वेदर रोहित विल बी देयर और नॉट.
They are not.
सो इस तरह से अगर देखा जाए तो इंग्लैंड की टीम ज्यादा स्टेबल नजर आ रही है, ज्यादा कॉन्फिडेंट नजर आ रही है. बट बाकी तो मैच में आप पता चलेगा, क्योंकि बुमराह इज लीडिंग द टीम.
Correct. Okay, so that is a fair enough point. Confidence riding high for the England test team. Kyunki just a while ago during Ashes, they did not look anything like how they're looking at the moment. तो अभी एक नया coach और नया captain का कमाल क्या क्या कर सकता है टीम के लिए. If they are England is pretty much showing us that. But दूसरी तरफ, of course, Joe Root is not at the helm of affairs. But one thing is for sure, he would probably be the player to definitely watch out from the England's side, at least in my opinion. आप सबका क्या कहना है उसके बारे में? Tell me that in the comment section. Considering we spoke about both the teams and where both of them stand, let's take a quick look at the head-to-head. कि जहाँ पे both of them have clashed earlier in Tests, 130 matches. England have won on 49 occasions. India have won on 31 occasions, and draw have been on 50 occasions. So this is, of course, looking at the stats and numbers. But if you all have any sort of predictions to make or analysis, don't forget to put that in the comment section. I'll take a few on our show and we'll have our cricket guests answer that as well. Now, talking a little bit about getting all of you to answer something, let's take a look at the trivia question for today and find out if both Pratyay and Umesh also know the answer to this one. I'm pretty sure they do, but let's, find out. So if you could take a look. Mohammad Shami scored 56 not out in which of India's victories? It's Lord's at London in the second test, or the Kennington Oval in London in the fourth test. Now, obviously, Pratyay and me were thrilled to be watching this, match develop last year in terms of, that thriller of a match that it was. We were waiting to actually come live because itna jo excitement hua tha in that particular match. So I'm pretty sure they know the answer to this one. But all of you tell me, and then I'll come back and find out if you all have the right answer or not. Now let's talk a little bit about what will the toss decision be. Pratyay, I'll come to you about this. They have won the toss. England have won the toss and have opted to field first. Now, this is something that I think you would have expected, that they would go in with that bowling attack that they have. No surprises for guessing. Also, with the fact that Umesh pointed out with the way the combination is looking for Team India, do you think they've capitalized it well enough, not having services of, let's say, KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma? Do you think that's why they've gone with this decision?
Absolutely, and yes, you have to also factor in the point that the way England has performed against New Zealand, I mean, the way they were chasing all three games, what we saw was something that none of us has probably seen in Test match happening. So they are, of course, high on confidence. I still think that this was probably one of the better tosses to lose because we have seen that. I mean, in England, many a time what happens is that toss actually end up dominating the result of the match a lot. So probably at times you would prefer not winning the toss, because in the hindsight, when you go back and when you look back at things, you realize that probably it was a wrong decision that I made. So I think that probably it's in a good territory, because at the moment India has a few problems. I mean, of course, with Rohit Sharma not being there, KL Rahul, because these two were your खलेगी भले आपके पास कितने भी अच्छे replacements हो, but you're going to miss them for sure, because I think the way they performed the entire series, they were the bedrock of success. If India is leading 2-1, and if the credit has to go to the bowlers, it has to go to the opening pairs as much as it does to the bowlers, because of course, had it not been for these two, the centuries by both Rahul and both Rohit Sharma as well. So I think they are going to miss them a little bit. So I think in these kind of situations, you are always in two minds what to do, whether to bowl, whether to bat. So I think it's a good toss for India to lose. But specifically given the conditions, I think Edgbaston is again one of those venues where India has not had any success at all. Having started playing there since 1967, they've never won even a single game. So there's a lot riding. As I said, that last time when we were talking about this series, there was everything which was looking in India's favor. At the moment, there's plenty that has changed. So I think that, yes, it remains to be seen, of course, how the toss will play out. But I still think that it's, probably Jasprit Bumrah would have not wanted to win this toss.
Right, and I think talking about the toss, Ben Stokes has spoken about it, saying we're going to have a bowl. We've done well chasing, which you just pointed out in terms of the New Zealand series for them. It's obviously good to come into a new series so quickly. Gives us the opportunity to keep the momentum rolling. We are going to keep the same attitude going. So obviously, let's have a quick word on that as well. I'll come to you, Umesh. अगर आप बात करना चाहेंगे about Ben Stokes captaincy, उनका भी personally बहुत उतार chadav raha hai. He also had taken that break last year, owing to mental health. Then he did make that comeback eventually for the Ashes Test series. We didn't go great for Team England, but now to have capitalized on an opportunity like captaincy, is it the Brendan McCullum coach, the B&B effect working for Team England clearly, and is it aggressive cricket that they're preferring? What is your take? Aapka kya kehna hai?
Yes, basically it's the aggressive cricket that the combination of Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes have brought to the team. So basically, we all know all both these two cricketers as the aggressive ones and setting the examples on the field. No, so what happened in the past now, the Ben Stokes, when there were the predictions that Ben Stokes is about to succeed Joe Root, then a lot of people used to say like that none of the all-rounders have succeeded in England as a captain. So they have come up with the examples of Andrew Flintoff and Ian Botham. But Ben Stokes changed that mindset completely. No, an all-rounder can be a good skipper also. And Brendan McCullum, nonetheless, he has brought a brilliance in the team and he has changed the mindset of the batters in the chasing. और उसके अलावा जैसे कि आपने बात की मेंटल हेल्थ से जब वो वापस आए उस ब्रेक की उन्हें जरूरत थी खास तौर पर जरूरत थी क्योंकि वो अपार्ट फ्रॉम फिटनेस एंड ऑल जब आप लंबे समय तक खेलते हैं ना बड़ी देर तक खेलते रहते हैं तो आपकी मेंटल फटीग हो ही जाती है और उसके लिए आपको ब्रेक लगता है महीना 2 महीना साल 6 महीना जिसको जितना कंफर्टेबल है और उसके बाद फिर जिस तरह से बेन स्टोक्स ने वापसी की एज अ स्किपर एज अ प्लेयर he is outstanding and yes I would agree on that कि B&B effect is working for the England.
और अभी दूसरी तरफ इंडिया के लिए भी बी फैक्टर अभी है currently with the stand-in captain Bumrah. Quickly, talk about what he has said after the toss. He says it's good feeling to be captain and it's a big privilege. Can't get better than this. Excited and looking forward to this. Very happy with the preparation. Wanted to spend a lot of time and get used to the English conditions as we come back from the T20s. Happy with the preparation. Now it's for the mental side to take over. Now, I was waiting for one thing before we dive into milestones, play battles, all of that. मैं तो वेट ही करी थी कि क्यों किसी ने नहीं पूछा मुझे कि विराट 100 बनाएगा या नहीं. Will he score that century or not? Pratik, I think the wait for that is just continuing here. But I was talking about the fact that before you left momentarily in between, that Joe Root would be that player to definitely watch out for from the England side. Who do you think is going to be that one troublesome batter? Let's keep aside about him getting a century or not. Is it going to be Virat Kohli? Is there more pressure now because we don't have the services of other seasoned batters?
Absolutely, yes. I think because see, if you had Rohit, if you had Rahul, you still know that there are two experienced players at the top, and then the kind of starts that they've been giving. Of course, I mean, see, the dynamics have totally changed because जब आप 5 मैच की एक श्रृंखला खेलते हैं और आप अचानक से एक उसमें ब्रेक लगाने के बाद 8-9 महीने के बाद लौटते हैं, so of course this is a rescheduled test match, but you can look towards it as a one shootout. I mean, it's a one-off test match in a sense or two. So then when you miss out these kind of players, you know that your combination is going to change a little bit क्योंकि शायद अब आपको चेतेश्वर पुजारा से ओपनिंग करवानी पड़ेगी वहां पे आपके पास वो ओपनर्स नहीं है. And given the fact that, as I said, that the kind of success that these two enjoyed in the previous series, we know that Virat Kohli has not been in the best of forms. It's been now quite a while. It's been a couple of years. So we know that he is under a bit of pressure, of course. I mean, he's not a batter who takes a lot of pressure. He's someone we know that who will always, block out the outside noise and he focuses on his play. But of course, the responsibility has increased upon him for two reasons. As I said, that there is no Rohit and Rahul. Secondly, he has, I mean, whether or not you agree or if someone agrees, but we do know that Jasprit Bumrah has no leadership experience, and anyone whom he possibly can turn to in case he needs an advice, in case he wants to know, there's a person who has led the team in 60, 50, 65 odd matches and has won 40 of those. So you know that who he is going to turn to. So he kind of will have a leadership role as well to play in this particular test match. So I think that yes, pressure will definitely be high upon him. And none better. I think last time he played at Edgbaston, he struck a century, followed it up with a half century. I think if he could emulate even half of that in this game, India would be in a very dominant position.
Okay, let's not jinx it because we said a lot when he was playing at Eden Gardens in Kolkata as well, a couple of weeks back, and we know what really transpired there. But I see a lot of comments coming precisely. Kisi ne bola hai, Prema Maxwell has said, 132 score karega. Someone else has said 200. I like the fact that you've taken 132. I would love to know why 132 precisely. Put that in the comment section. Also, with the fact that you spoke about, Bumrah becoming captain, and the fact that there's no leadership that he has basically been able to do. Wasim Jafar had quite an interesting statement. उमेश अगर आप इसके बारे में हमें बताना चाहिए या प्रत्यय कि basically he felt कि option should have been with Cheteshwar Pujara. Also with the fact that he number one feels that Bumrah has no experience, like how Pratyay pointed out, but he said you never know. Someone like Hardik did surprise us with his captaincy skills. But दूसरी तरफ he felt like in the test format it would have been a more sensible option to go with Pujara. Umesh, would you like to talk about what Wasim Jafar's opinion has been?
Actually, I will quite a bit not agree on this. This Cheteshwar Pujara would have been given the captaincy क्योंकि वो ना recently अपनी फॉर्म में वो वापसी कर रहे हैं and he struggled in the tour match और उस पर आप एक बंदे पे जाके आप एक्स्ट्रा बर्डन एक कैप्टनसी का डाल रहे हैं तो फिर उसको अपने अलावा 11 बंदों को लेकर भी चलना है तो ये
Yeah.
चीज है कि वो जो खुद काउंटी में लेके अभी काउंटी के बाद अब निकले अपनी परफॉर्म आप बहुत अच्छा किया फिर टूर मैच में उन्होंने स्ट्रगल किया टूर मैच वो नहीं कर पाए उतना स्कोर जितना एक्सपेक्टेड था उनसे मतलब उस तरह की बैटिंग और अगर उन पर अगर कैप्टनसी आप देते तो हो सकता है मोर और लेस उनकी परफॉर्मेंस पे इसका असर पड़ता because Cheteshwar Pujara, I don't think that have that much experience of leading the team in the past. Because when he was playing for Saurashtra, I don't think he was that much captain the team for that much time. So
Yeah.
I would disagree with this.
All right. So सबका of course अपना अपना opinion होता है. आप सबको क्या लगता है about this entire? Of course the decision had to be taken. It was Bumrah, and I think he was a vice captain as well. So it just meant that at the end of the day he would be taking over the reins for this one. But let's talk about the playing 11 because we're all waiting to see what India has gone with the combination because England had already announced it. So if you could take a look, let's talk about England first. Alex Lees. You have Zach Crawley, Oli Pope, Joe Root, Johnny Bairstow, Ben Stokes, Sam Billings, Matthew Potts, Stuart Broad, Jack Leach, and of course James Anderson. दूसरी तरफ इंडिया शुभमन गिल, चितेश्वर पुजारा, हनुमा विहारी, विराट कोहली, श्रेयस अय्यर, ऋषभ पंत, रविंद्र जडेजा, शार्दुल ठाकुर, मोहम्मद शमी, मोहम्मद सिराज, and Jasprit Bumrah. I'll come to you first, Pratyay, on the India's combination. Great to see again Vihari get an opportunity. Shreyas Iyer, of course, in his debut against New Zealand did prove to be quite the cricketer there by performing like the way he did by getting that century as well. Now, looking at that combination, is this exactly what you had predicted, or were there some other names that you would have kept in mind?
Well, I think it was kind of whatever we were listening in the build-up to this game. It was kind of a given that Cheteshwar Pujara was being looked at as the option that you would want to open with, precisely because, yes, I agree that he did not have a great game against Leicestershire, but I still feel that the run that he had in the county was absolutely mind-boggling. And given the fact that he has been in England, accustomed to those conditions, so you would want to ride on that advantage once your chief openers or your first choice openers have been ruled out. So I think that makes sense. Interesting part was that whether you would go with Shardul Thakur or you would want to have Ashwin, because interestingly, Ashwin did not play even a single game in the last series. As good as a bowler he is, it turns out that he did not get even a single game because he is not in this.
And we were all wondering why that is, right?
Absolutely. So I think that was probably the only selection dilemma that India was kind of having at the eve of the game. But I still feel that it would be a call depending on to the conditions because they have assessed the pitch, how much of a grass it has, what kind of play it will play. So I think because of that, it could be a tactical call to have a pace bowling all-rounder instead of a spin all-rounder. And we have seen, I mean, Shardul Thakur's credentials need no testimony, need no proof because he has done well in this series. He has done well in Australia. He adds batting depth, of course, to you. And whenever you're talking about Lord Thakur, you are talking about his magic arm. I mean, his ability to, bring out wickets out of nowhere. I mean, that is something. He dismissed Joe Root as well in the series. So I think that, yes, it could be a kind of a call. I mean, you will have to, of course, assess it once the match is over. But at this moment, if you talk about this 11, it looks as good as any Indian 11.
Right, and coming a little bit to you, Umesh, मैं पूछना चाहूंगी कि opening combination अभी रहेगा between Pujara and Gill. That's the best now they can do with the current circumstances. What is your takeaway from this?
Yeah, my takeaway is similar what Pratyay said because yes, according to the English conditions, you would prefer Shardul Thakur over Ravichandran Ashwin. because the way he swings the ball, the way he has the techniques in his pace ball, and we will have an extra pace bowling all rounder in the 11. So the playing 11, including the likes of Shreyas Iyer and Anuma Vihari in the top five batting lineup, and Cheteshwar Pujara, Shubman Gill to open the innings. That it will be fine if Cheteshwar Pujara and Shubman Gill gives a good start to the Indian team. Then the rest of the batters will take off from there. And yes, it's a good playing 11.
All right, of course, but we know that England's bowling attack is quite lethal, especially when you have Anderson and Stuart Broad still coming for the Indian batters. Now, let's quickly talk about the milestones that we can expect in this particular match and find out. Let's quickly ask Pratay if we could see all the graphics with the milestones, please, and then Pratay, which one's the most doable?
I think Anderson, it could be very much possible that he ends up doing it in the very first over that he bowls. I think, and even Stuart Broad, beg your pardon, Stuart Broad just one scalp away, had a good series against New Zealand. Anderson, I mean, as you said that, I mean, when you're having that much experience in one side, these two in themselves are good enough to, run through any batting lineup on their day. Rishabh Pant, even he had a very good sort of a game against Leicestershire. So I think that he is also 80 runs. And when it comes to test format, you've seen what he is capable of. Did not have the best series against South Africa, but now this is the format that he really thrives in. So I think that all three looking quite possible for me.
Right, and what about when it comes to this, उमेश? ये तीनों में से आपको क्या लगता है सबसे doable कौन सा है या क्या हो पाएगा इस टेस्ट सीरीज में?
इस टेस्ट सीरीज में जो मुझे पॉसिबल लग रहा है, हो सकता है ब्रॉड अगर अच्छा चल जाता है तो उनका ये 800 इंटरनेशनल विकेट्स का शायद ये वाला मुझे लग रहा है पूरा हो जाए, और जॉनी बेयरस्टो आल्सो माइट कंप्लीट इज 10,000 रन्स अक्रॉस ऑल द फॉर्मेट्स. बट आई डोंट थिंक दैट दिस 49 विल गो टू द 50 ऑफ इंग्लैंड्स विंस.
ठीक है, तो मैं वही पूछने वाली थी कि वो हो पाएगा या नहीं हो पाएगा. बट दूसरी तरफ जो हो चुका है इन द पास्ट और इस बार अगर होगा या नहीं, आर इंटरेस्टिंग प्लेयर बैटल्स. Pretty sure some very interesting player battles are on is in store for us. यहाँ पे Root versus Bumrah, 194 runs is what he has scored, and Bumrah has sent him back to the pavilion on 6 occasions. Okay, next one being, if you take a look at the next one, Pujara versus Anderson. Of course, I was waiting for this. 237 runs and 11 dismissals. I mean, how good is James Anderson? What is the other one that we have? KOHLI versus Anderson. 297 runs, fantastic. Lekin 7 dismissals. Okay, so I think wherever Anderson is there at the end of the day, there is terror with the ball. So there's no surprises for guessing the amount of dismissals he's had. But Pratya, coming to you, which is that one very interesting player battle you're looking forward to, the 7 or the 11?
Well, I think it's well documented. I mean, we've seen what KOHLI has ended up doing in 2014 before dominating in 2018. Not in the best of form, so you would of course be. It's a mouth-watering rivalry, of course, whenever it comes to KOHLI versus Anderson. But now, more interesting in a way would be that Pujara and Anderson as well, because now Pujara is opening, and with the new ball, there's no one really who comes close at this point in time to Jimmy Anderson. So I think that is another great battle to watch out for. As for Bumrah and Root, I think it's a good battle again, because now Bumrah is also leading the side, so he would definitely want to prize out, because at this point in time, Besto is in great form, Stokes is in great form, but you still know that the kind of havoc that Joe Root can create and wreak, no one can even come close to that. So if you can get that kind of a wicket early on, that eases out a lot of things for you.
All right, before we move on to Social Tracker and find out what is happening, out there in the Twitter world, what people are talking, I'll quickly come to what Rahul Dravid, has to say. He said, about Bumrah's captaincy, since everyone's talking about it, that I think that is Bumrah, is a very thoughtful individual, understands the game very well. Also, he commands the respect of the team, which is very important as a leader. Bowling changes, field changes, obviously will only get better with time. It's a new challenge. It's not easy. Captaincy is something that you'll get better as you'll do it more. Lots of talks about England and their style of batting. I'm looking forward to it. The quality we have in our fast bowling is something that we take pride in. This is a little bit of a takeaway of a very long statement that Dravid has made, but the big takeaway from here being that at the end of the day, captaincy is something that one can only get better with time, like he has rightly said. Bumrah's got a fantastic opportunity, especially to see a bowler leading, this side is something that is exciting for all us cricket lovers. Now, talking about cricket lovers, what is the discussion on social tracker? Let's cut to that and find out कि क्या tweet कर रहे हैं लोग about this particular match. Kapil Dev, Thwacha, Oka fast bowling captain, handing over captaincy to Jasprit Bumrah. This is one of the social trackers that we have from our CricTracker Telugu official account. If you're not following us there, go follow us. CricTracker humor. But of course, we have Akshay Kumar's expression saying no butler. He's on to better and newer things in terms of captaincy. All right, moving on. Saurabh Tripathi has tweeted, it's not wise to have different captains in 3 different formats. This is when Saurav Ganguly had said when Kohli was sacked. Meanwhile, Indian cricket team, Virat Kohli led in SA Test, KL Rahul led in SA ODI, Rohit Sharma in SL and West Indies series, Pant led in SA T20, Hardik led in Island T20, and Bumrah, of course, being the stand-in captain for today. The rivalry resumes tomorrow. This is, of course, a very interesting picture talking about England versus India. All right, so this is what we have on social tracker. ये captaincy है या musical chairs? BCCI full time batsman को, opening batsman को, wicket keeping batsman को, all rounder को, full fledged bowler को, सबको captaincy देता रहेगा BCCI. All right. Now this is one quick takeaway before we sign off from CricTracker special show in the air. वहाँ पे तो meme बना है, लेकिन थोड़ी seriousness भी है. With the fact that a lot of these questions about what Saurav Ganguly had said way back when all the speculations about white ball and red ball cricket captaincy was happening, split captaincy was happening. Pratik, I'll come to you quickly on this if you can tell me. This is circumstantial, right? Jahan pe they had to get Rishabh Pant to lead, and now they have, of course, Bumrah coming in. But what is your takeaway now that we also see Morgan has handed over captaincy to Butler? They're also clearly, working in the aspect of split captaincy of white ball and red ball cricket. Is this the way to go? What do you think about all this comments about musical chairs? What would you like to say about this?
Well, I think it's a good thing in a way because see, when you get to see so many players leading, you get more options. And I mean, that there are players who are getting aged. They are going to be certain. I mean, 4-5 years down the line, you will probably not see a lot of players who are a part of the current setup. They will retire, and you want to have options, of course. But I think, as you very correctly said, it's circumstantial because of injuries, because of some or the other reason, because someone falling ill of COVID or something of that sort. It's because of that. But the brighter side to it could be that you are getting more options because now we saw that Hardik Pandya has auditioned really well. Couple of T20Is, the way India managed to clinch those against Ireland. Rishabh Pant, yes, not the best of series against South Africa, but I still feel that he and the team showed great character, bouncing back after 0-2 to ending up drawing the series 2-all. So that was again another thing, another positive to look at. KL Rahul, I think he has led pretty much, not a lot, sample size is still small, but he has led a decent amount of time. So I think you're getting a lot of options, which is the good part. You, of course, do not want to change so many captains in such a short span of time because I was reading it's probably the 8th captain Jasprit Bumrah is going to be ever since Kohli has stepped down, which includes Kohli as well. So it's 8 captains. That's a lot. It's almost like a playing 11. 11, and you will have a captain 11 itself. So I think that's not a good state to be in. But the brighter side to it could be that you are getting more options to have a look in the future. So I think it will settle down once you move closer to the year because now with players getting fit, the squad for the England series, the limited overs has already been announced as well. Rohit Sharma is back there. So I think let's hope that now we will have some stability as far as captaincy of India is concerned.
Right, and I did see a lot of comments about the T20I and the ODI squad. What we'll do is, we're running out of time because the match is just about to start in a couple of minutes. In our post-match show, we will discuss that as well because a lot of you have been reacting about Sanju Samson not making the cut. So it will make an interesting topic when we come back to talk about it. But before we leave, let me ask Umesh. Umesh, आपको याद है कि एक trivia question हमने पूछा था, उसका जवाब क्या है?
Announce London second test.
ठीक है, तो सही जवाब क्या है? Let's take a look at it on our screen. That's right. So, of course, we have only cricket guests who know everything, right from their predictions, analysis, and the trivia answers as well. On that note, I want to thank Pratyay and Umesh for joining me in the studios, all of you as well. I also see a comment saying Pratyay's shirt is looking amazing. Well, I agree with you as well for that particular comment coming in. And on that very note, I want to thank everybody for joining us. But don't forget, we will be back once again to be discussing everything with this exciting final rescheduled 5th test match So don't forget to join us only on CricTracker.